Thanks. Actually, I don't see it as an extra layer of scrutiny, and this is why I would say so. Under the previous legislation, the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, you had a system according to which you had the possibility of challenging an award on grounds that, in the way those grounds were applied by the Nigerian courts, it almost approximated to full merits review. For example, you could challenge an award on grounds of mistake of fact under the general categorization called misconduct. And judicial authorities that supported being able to challenge mistakes of fact. I've seen challenges launched against awards running into hundreds of pages of written submissions, challenging, conclusions of fact and conclusions of law that arbitrators arrived at. And that was never really intended, that was not the intention of the people who drafted the Arbitration and Conciliation Act of 1988, except that the manner in which those provisions were then taken by the courts approximated to merits review. So you had the possibility for a court of first instance, whether it's the Federal High Court or the State High Court or the High Court of the FCT, being able to do a merits review of an award or something that is close to a merits review, and then you'd go to the Court of Appeal and you have something similar to that, and then you go to the Supreme Court and you have something similar to that, and all of that could span a period of close to 11 years. I mean, I've been in a case, Luton versus NNPC, that went from High Courts to Supreme Courts for 11 years and finally went back to the arbitrator to continue from where he stopped. That was what you had before. Now, what do we have under the new legislation? We have a system that says that if you, and it's optional, it's entirely optional, but if an award is given by one tribunal, and if you have opted to do so, you can have another tribunal review that award on very narrow grounds. Those grounds that are contained in the New York Convention, and those grounds are broadly categorized as due process, capacity, and jurisdiction. Now, if that tribunal, the second tribunal, finds that the award is okay, it passes those three tests, due process, jurisdiction, and capacity, then you pretty much then see that the courts, even if the courts can be engaged at all, only for very limited reasons. In fact, the Act reduces the basis upon which the courts can intervene to just two, right? Before, if you looked at the grounds on which courts can intervene, you would see almost about 15 to 16 grounds being outlined on which courts could interfere in an award. But under this new legislation, once you've done an award review in an award review tribunal, then the only grounds on which the courts can intervene are two: arbitrability and public policy. And what that means essentially is that combined with the very accelerated proceedings also contained in the new act, there's a very good prospect that if you went to the High Court, Court of Appeal and Supreme Court on these very narrow grounds, you can get in and out of that within 2.5 years, not 11 years like we had before. So the point to make, I think, to kind of summarize all of this is that it's not the number of reviews, but rather the quality of those reviews, the scope of those reviews. Before, you had 3 layers of review that could last for 11 years. Today, you have 4 layers of review that would last for 2.5 years. The choice is yours. Because those international standards are documented. They are documented in 2 main documents: the UNCITRAL model law and the New York Convention on the Recognition and Enforcement of Foreign Arbitral Awards. And those 2 documents, of course inspired by UNCITRAL's work, lay out precisely the same grounds for reviewing an award. In fact, the philosophy that when you go to arbitration, you take your arbitrators as you find them, and courts cannot review the merits of whatever the arbitrators decide, no matter how wrong the courts think that the arbitrators are, and whether on questions of law or questions of fact. That philosophy is encapsulated in the New York Convention and in the Arbitral model law. And those are international standards. Like I said earlier, before the new legislation in Nigeria, we had provisions which had been interpreted by the courts as giving them a wider ability to intervene, and that was not consistent with international standards. But today you have grounds which are aligned precisely with the grounds contained in the New York Convention and in the Arbitral model law. So yes, I would say as far as grounds for challenging an award are concerned, Nigeria's law is now fully aligned with international standards. From exporting raw materials or crude oil or other types of raw materials. I won't mention that term now, but I'm sure many of us know what it is. Now, Nigeria does not want to be that. Nigeria wants to earn its income, not just from exporting raw materials, but from exporting services as well, technology, skills, expertise. And Nigeria needs to do so because its economy is at a crossroads. We've floated our currency, and so we are saying to the world we are ready to compete. We're ready to compete in such a way that enables us to increase our balance of payments position by earning a lot more income from a diversified range of income sources, including exporting raw materials, but also exporting services and expertise. Now, if that's what we want to do, and I think that's what every country that wants to become a developed country must do, then the Arbitration and Mediation Act provides one opportunity to do so. Because what it does is to enhance the prospect for Nigeria to become a hub, a seat for resolving disputes either between Nigerians or between other African business people residents in other African nations. Depending on entirely what the parties think, you may also see Nigeria fulfilling the function of resolving disputes between Nigerians and foreigners, although questions of neutrality might then arise. But there is a huge market potentially for being a hub for intra-African disputes that do not involve Nigeria, as well as disputes between purely Nigerian entities. And I think this is a way to export services. The Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, its philosophy is essentially to create a huge market for countries that are able to benefit from this huge market. Nigeria is part of the AFCFTA, and Nigeria can take benefit of this whole arrangement by ensuring that it has the services to export, and the AMA provides that opportunity.
But for you to function effectively as an arbitral institution, a lot of things have to be done behind the scenes, long before the disputes come into existence. And what do I mean by that?